Getting to the bottom of that just got a whole lot weirder. Welcome to a new series from Let's Get to the Bottom of That. A series that will unravel the tangled web of belief, manipulation, and power within some of the most secretive and dangerous cults of our time. What drives ordinary people to surrender their lives to a cause that to outsiders seems incomprehensible? How do charismatic leaders turn devotion into control, faith into fear? In this series, we will delve deep into the chilling stories of those who escaped the cult's grip, the investigators who sought to bring them down, and the families who were torn apart by its influence. Each week, a new episode will reveal a different cult and its dark history. Revealing the disturbing tactics used to recruit, brainwash, and maintain control over its members. Join us as we explore the origins of a different cult each week, the psychology of its leaders, and the desperate struggles of those who fought to break free. This series isn't just another story about a cult. It's a journey into the depths of human vulnerability, the search for meaning, and the terrifying power of blind faith. Welcome to the Cult Series. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Get to the Bottom of That. I'm your host, Byron Dice. Welcome in. Come on in. The water's fine. If you're listening to this show, you're probably one of our conspiracy nuts. And, each week we are joined by a bunch of weirdos, and we cover a topic that is left out in the public square, covered questions, and the official story is out there as well. That doesn't make any sense. So my critical free thinkers, get your tinfoil hats back on, and let's get to the bottom of that. Today we're talking about Nex-ee-um, which we're going to get into the spelling of that because it's very weird. But Nex-ee-um is the last of the cult series. We're in the middle of a cult series, and this is going to round it out. Nex-ee-um, the sex cult. I want to welcome to the mic Joey.
Yeah.
Also, we have Meryl joining us again. She is from the Bold Women podcast. I appreciate you joining us because Meryl's, on her podcast, she gets into some deep biblical stuff that women should, go over and discuss. But she's also a true crime lover.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what drawn her over to this, the cult series. We just finished up Manson Part 1 and 2, which was, you're very instrumental in getting all the information out that we need. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thanks for letting me just invite myself.
We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it without you.
Me and Byron would have just been like, anyway.
Here, there's Meryl's applause.
Thanks.
Joey, what's going on?
Well,
everything.
Where do I start, dude?
Well, Jason's out again, as you probably noticed. He's not on the couch. That's where he usually sits.
Where's,
right there.
Where's
He's
Grumper
not.
at, dude?
Well, Grumper's been retired. He didn't like the way we treated him.
Really? He just walked out one day.
He's got feelings, and he's very sensitive.
I've had so many people come up to me and be like, dude, what's the deal with Grumper?
Do they want him back?
I'm like, what do you
Maybe
mean?
I'll talk to him.
No, they're like, why is he there? I'm like, I don't understand the question.
Right. Why shouldn't he be there?
Yeah, what's wrong with Grumper?
What is wrong with Grump? There's nothing. We love Grumper here. And you know what? I'm going to talk to him and get him back on the show.
I think it's worth, maybe if we need to figure out something relational.
We probably should give it, send him some, maybe some cards, some flowers or something.
He's been through a lot.
He has been. As you're probably aware, this is the Nex-ee-um episode. This is the last cult series. The last series we're doing on the cult series. Now, Nex-ee-um, as you clicked on the title,
yes.
It's NXIVM.
Yes.
Which, if you're just looking at that, if I just saw that just on a sign, I would go, what is that? It spells nothing. It spells, is that a Roman numeral?
Yes, and I hate it.
Oh, we'll get into it.
I
thought they were
much.
trying to spell, how people will spell different things with different letters and try to look cool. That's what I thought they were doing here.
It could be that too.
I thought that's what they were doing.
It might be.
Like when that dude that did the fire thing, he was going to go down in Bermuda and have all these girls. He spelled fire F-Y-R-E.
Oh, the fire festival?
Yeah.
The fake one?
Yeah, that guy.
The fake
Remember,
festival?
that's so hilarious to see him fail that way. I don't know why, but it just is. He spelled fire F-Y-R-E. That's what I'm talking about. He tried to be cool instead of spelling it. It's an original F-I-R-E. I thought Nex-ee-um was the same thing.
Come down to the fire festival.
Well, they can't spell it the way that it sounds.
Are you
because
serious?
I think Nexium, right?
Nex. Okay, I would spell Nex-um or I-U. Yeah, Nex-ee-um.
Yeah.
I would spell it N-E-X-U-M. Next. No, there'd be.
Well, the V is silent.
Yeah, why is that V in there? Anyway, we'll get into that.
Anyway, that's a similar. It's a Nexium is like a heartburn drug. It's like Prilosec.
The purple pill.
It's like Prilosec.
The purple pill. I saw the commercials on this.
Omeprazole.
You know where they? You know where they go into? Hidden I learn. You know where they go into all the side effects. Hey, this is going to cause your ulcer to bust.
Yes.
Yeah, that's next.
And your ball sack just to rip in two.
Dude, could you imagine?
Don't take that.
Yeah. Can't imagine.
Could you imagine if your ball sack just spontaneously combusted? You're just sitting watching freaking Friday Night Lights.
Hashtag can't relate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you imagine if your
Sorry
uterus just fell out?
No.
That you can relate on that.
She's like, no, sir.
Hey, this
Anyway.
week's question of the week. I'm not going to repeat last week because I don't know where this episode's going to drop.
Well, just.
I don't know when.
So is there going to be a bunch of them that just aren't getting answered?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I do know. This is right behind Manson too, so I will tell you the answer to last week's. It was 2018. What tech industry leader stated odds that we're living in a computer simulation?
Oh yeah, who was it?
It was Elon Musk.
I knew that.
Joey had it.
We all knew that. But you thought it was Mark.
No, I just said Zuck looked like a Sim.
Well, I'm going to take that as your answer.
Dude, Elon Musk's drop of the robot, bro.
Dude, I need to look at that. I haven't seen it yet.
Have you seen that?
The Robo-van?
The Robo-van,
the
but
robot.
also the robot. You can buy, well, not yet. He's still got to get like manufacturing set up. But basically, you're going to be able to have like a servant robot in your house.
Absolutely not.
For less than the cost of a car.
You guys seen the movie AI?
I've seen all of them.
Yeah, no. Or Terminator.
Listen, I don't know.
Or Robot. iRobot.
I am optimistic about it because
you're that guy.
Well, because I used to be very fearful of AI until I sat down with a guy who made AI or it works in AI.
Right.
And the way that he said, he was Christian too. So he's like, what are the chances? I guess it's possible. I have some weird theories on it. Okay.
Well, we did an episode on it. Yeah.
We could. Yeah. Where was I at during that?
That may have been Mike error.
Might have been. Anyway, long story short.
Revisit.
Right.
There is no breath of life in AI.
Right.
AI as it is right now is like the way he described it was like, let's say you're in a room and you don't speak Chinese, you don't read Chinese, you're not Chinese. Okay. But someone slides something under a door with a Chinese symbol on it, and then you're in a room with a bunch of Chinese symbols. Okay. So then you take that Chinese symbol and you match it to the other Chinese symbol
that matches,
and you grab it and you give that guy the information.
Okay.
It's basically like a a Google on steroids. They're taking information, they're processing the information super fast,
Yes.
and giving the information.
I was actually reading something that somebody was saying it's not, they shouldn't even actually call it intelligence because it's not. It's just fact gathering very quickly.
Yeah,
like
that's
an
what it
accelerated
is.
rate.
It's not, so it's like this robot. It's not sentient.
Well, that's why it's artificial.
It's not sentient.
Right,
And it's
but-
probably never going to be
Well,
sentient.
how do you know that?
Well,
Well, I
here's
don't know that.
hoping.
Here's what I think. Let me throw
what
this,
about the Turing test?
Let me throw this. Well, the Turing test, that was the Turing. He explained that to me too. The Turing test itself. Turing said, Alan Turing was the guy that they wrote an Imitation Game, the movie about. Alan Turing, the guy who created the computer. And funny story, he actually said that he got the idea for the computer from, he accredited it to a
That's right.
daemon.
The daemon.
A daemon, which is why there's daemons in computer, because it was, anyway.
Baylor Damon.
Long story short, the Turing test was basically the thought process that if something is intelligent, it means it's human. That's not true. If something's intelligence, it means it's human to pass the Turing test.
Well, I would disagree with that.
I disagree too.
I would say they'd have to be self-aware
Yeah.
to pass that test.
But, I mean, we're getting into some deep stuff here.
Yeah, we
But
need to talk
anyway.
about Nex-ee-um. Hold on.
But can I make a comment about the RoboVan?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Oh, that's good.
It looks like a Volkswagen bus.
It looks like a toaster.
That's a better.
What?
That's a better. Yeah.
I saw a reel on it the other day, and I was like, "Why is that a toaster on wheels? Is that something that's supposed to be cool?"
Dude, his
And
style.
Why-
The Cybertruck is one of the ugliest
Dude.
vehicles I've ever seen
Why?
in my life.
Hideous.
Why won't you? So I think you're going as, hey, let me go as far weird as I can.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Let me make something that looks nothing like that is on the road today.
well,
Well,
he's
because
got
it's not.
fans that are just loving it. So
I tell you what.
Well, he
I
gave
would-
Alex Jones a free one.
I would love.
Where's mine, Elon?
I would
Well,
love to have.
Elon, you can sponsor us too,
Yeah.
and don't forget the Bold Women podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Give us a sponsor.
Yeah, I'll drive your truck.
I would love to have one of those robots. I use freaking ChatGPT all the time.
Yeah, I
It's
have
incredible.
a robot that vacuums my floor.
It's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
Imagine having a robot that can mow your lawn, make you dinner.
Matter of fact, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like you have a robot that can vacuum the floor. There's one that cuts the grass.
I don't know that I want
Yeah.
a robot making my dinner because
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
The element of love is taken out of
Mm.
food.
Here's the deal.
Wow.
You know, when food's made with love, tell you what.
Let me tell
always
you,
It tastes better.
last night I was like, hey, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
I'm making some chicken thighs, yo. How should I do it? It told me. I followed it to a T. Best damn chicken I've ever had in my
Wow.
life.
Because the recipe was found by somebody who made it.
Out of
Like
love.
that.
Out of love.
Out of.
So it
Best.
transferred the love to you.
Mm-hmm.
No, not that you're a robot, but you took the love that the ChatGPT
And then
gave
and then
you.
you know what happened? I made it with love.
That's right.
And you know what? If a robot makes it, I'm going to eat it with love because there's nothing but love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then if somebody falls in love with a robot, they can make love.
Yeah, they could. I don't know how
together.
they would.
Would there be a robot kid?
There'd just be a lot of
No.
collisions.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
way off course here.
Anyway.
This week's question,
Full circle.
full circle. Don't get AI to cook your food. What year was the Order of the Illuminati established? That's a good one.
1625.
220 BC.
Nope.
1776. That was a great year, by the way.
Yeah.
1856
America.
and 1945. So there we go. If you scroll on the mobile app, Spotify, you will see this poll question. Scroll below and tell me what year you think the Illuminati was established.
I'm going to say
gotta-
200 BC.
220 BC? What do
Did you
think?
guys reveal that in your episode on the Illuminati?
Probably.
Probably.
Probably did.
What were the options again?
220 BC, 1776, 1856, and 1945.
I like 1856 because didn't it come from Europe and make its way
Yep.
over here?
Yep.
Yeah.
I like 1945. That's when Pearl Harbor was bombed, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was the day. That was the deal. Illuminati born.
That was the day
On my
that
birthday.
the U.S. was like, all right, well, I guess we're going to join this then.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're talking about Nex-ee-um, which this is going to finalize. This is going to round out the cult series. Now, this is interesting. This cult, upon researching this cult, most of the cults that we've discussed has had some type of religious aspect.
Yeah, everyone thought they were Jesus.
Some type, I'm using scripture. This is why I'm basing it, or I'm a church. Oh, by the way, I want to say this.
Don't point your finger at me.
Our Scientology episode, go back and listen to it. We barely scratched the surface on that.
Yeah, we
on
did.
that episode. I've been watching the documentary with Leah Remini, and it is several seasons long. She has firsthand experience in the cult.
Yeah.
She's with the dude that was right next to David McGavish. He was up there top leadership, and they're basically exposing the whole thing. It is, I mean, the stuff that we covered on our episode was just covered the surface. But you should go back and watch that documentary, because it is,
and it is a cult, because
eye-opening.
I know I saw some of the commenters say that it's not a cult, but I would politely and respectfully disagree.
Yes.
People's lives were financially ruined because of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, financially, yeah.
I don't find. I mean,
yeah, and
that's one of
yeah,
the,
we had
pillars. I would think
we had somebody that commented on that episode that was in Scientology and said he was a Christian and
appears to be dabbling in it. Yeah,
that was the one that I was afraid to do, just to speak to how culty it is.
Right, because we're suppressive people.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I don't want him to be like.
Well,
Screw
this
guy.
one here, Nex-ee-um, is not at all, as far as I could tell, based on any type of religion, any type of scripture. It's just some sicko that put together a sex cult.
well, his former partner made comments about how he saw himself as like a deity.
Oh.
But
another
I
George
can get
Soros.
into that.
There
I
we
can
go.
get into that.
George Soros.
Well, let's just dive in, and then Joey can later I've got some audio to play of the actual recording of Keith
Allison
Raniere.
Mack?
Yeah, I got that actual recording that she recorded him, and we'll play that in a minute once we get to that part.
Ooh, boy.
But why don't we start where Keith? So we're talking about Keith Raniere. That's the man that is solely behind this cult. Meryl, let's start with where was he born, and where was he raised up, and did he have any kind of family background that looked like trauma or anything like that?
Did he have a mom?
Yeah, did he have a mom? Was it a broken family?
Well,
Or was he born out of the earth?
if you believe in basic biology, everyone's got a mom.
That's
Is that
that's
is
a
that
good
so?
one. That is so.
We got to the bottom of that one.
Well, we did.
As it turns out.
That's why same-sex marriage just won't work because of that.
That's right.
I mean, you can get married, but you're not having kids.
Yeah. I
And
you
don't
can
come
try
to
and
me
get-
to adopt mine.
Okay.
Anyway.
So he was born August 26th, 1960
Okay.
in Brooklyn.
He's a little older than me.
He was the only child of James Raniere, who was an advertising executive, and Vera
There it is. Only child.
Ashipko.
Joey's connecting the dots already.
That's how it was.
Vera was his mom, and she was a ballroom dancing instructor. When
There it
he was
is.
when he was 5 years old, his family relocated to upstate Suffern, New York, and his parents separated when he was aged 8.
8 years old, were separated. Who did he stay with?
Let's see.
So he
Doesn't
was-
say much.
If he stayed with mom, there's the problem. There it is.
Doesn't
there it
say
is.
much. It does
There
not
it
talk
is.
about that.
He was born an only child.
Born an only child.
Lived an
So
only
you
child.
know he was
separated
the
at
weirdo.
8, so we already...
Oh, sorry.
She just
My
got...
apologies to all
half
the
of our
only
audience-
children.
Half of our audience just checked out. Hey, we're all weirdos on this show. So if you're an only
I-
child, we don't
That is
discriminate.
in jest. One of my closest friends from childhood was an only child, and we used to she was like an adopted family member because
And you just
there were
ripped on her
6 of
about
us.
that because she was weird.
yeah. It's
I
just,
get it.
Hey, but the facts are, if you have siblings, you learn a lot more developmentally. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
You develop differently than
I love
children
everybody.
who don't have.
I love everybody.
I do.
Right.
So do I.
And here's the deal.
But
Only children, they have struggles, dude. Think about this. This is going to
Okay.
lose us a lot of followers. And
I'm
I'm
listening.
okay with it because ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to get to the bottom of societal problems.
okay.
Just divide the room.
Okay. There is a serious problem with parents that only want to have one kid
Yep.
because
Oh,
the
no.
reason it's
Are we
all
gonna talk about the one child policy?
it's all psychological. the parents that only usually have one kid, they still care too much about themselves to have more kids because they're not
because
blessing,
they don't want. Okay, I get
they're
that.
not blessing their kid with another kid to play with.
Yeah.
So they're forcing their kid into solitary.
Well, and into adult conversations, adult
Yep.
situations, because it's like that's all they have to hang out with. If
That's
they don't
it.
have any like cousins their age or
Yep.
anything like that they're close with.
So there's one aspect of it.
Well,
The
let me,
second
hold on. Let me
aspect-
before you go,
No.
because I
No.
fall into this category.
Okay.
Okay.
Make your point.
I want to make sure I'm good because my oldest child was the only child until 16.
Yep.
So during that period, was there a problem with me?
Yes,
Okay.
there was.
Okay.
But
You
not
guys did a lot of growing up with
because-
your kid.
Glad I
because
came
you
out with that.
fostered. That's the kicker.
Oh, that's true. I
Your
did
life
foster.
wasn't about yourself.
I did foster. Okay.
So
True. That's
here's
true.
the deal.
Okay.
Second level of this is this. Look at this guy's cult. It's all about him.
Yep.
I'm the grandmaster. I'm the man. He grew up like that, bro. Especially when his parents split up at 8. They were both fighting for this kid's love.
Oh no.
So they're all dumping everything into like lavishing him with things and this kid is everything. This kid is, and that's how he grew up. He never learned humility. And that's the problem with only freaking kids, man.
Okay.
Because they grow up.
Now the kids never learn humility.
Well, they do.
Is it?
I'm
Okay.
not saying that's never happens, but
Right.
Yeah, you get knocked
Typically.
out in the park one time by a kid for running
Yeah.
your mouth.
I grew up
Oh wow.
Then you
as a
learn
middle
humility.
child. Okay,
Malcolm in the middle.
nothing was. I didn't get anything. Okay, that was the deal.
So sorry.
It's all right. My brother got a car when he was
Wow.
16.
Yeah.
When
You
I
did?
turned 16 a year later,
got a
my
bike.
parents like, hey, we can't afford it. We bought your brother a car last
Yeah.
year.
You're done.
So you
I
gotta
had
buy
to
your
give
own.
my
Here-
car to my sibling when I graduated high school, and they were like, "Buy your own." Sorry. I was like,
What?
Yeah.
Anyway,
'Cause
there's a
there was
lot of
still
trauma
another kid
here.
Wait.
behind me.
I didn't even get a car, guys.
Okay,
Well,
so you
mine
won.
was passed down from like 2 other siblings, so mine was in very bad shape. Like I had to put a quart of oil in it every week, and I could only park.
Oh,
on the
those are
gravel.
great times.
Now
right there.
imagine being an only kid where your parents are like, I've been saving for your one car for 16 years. and I bought you a 2024 Ford.
Yeah, Ford
Escort, because you've only one kid.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't had financial hardship your entire life. You've never struggled. You
I
know?
had friends that they had one child,
Mhm.
and it was, I think she got to about age 7 or 8,
Mhm.
Okay.
and she was like, "Where's my sister?
Oh!
Or where's my brother?"
She like
Yeah.
knew.
And she had,
It was
she and I were
instinct.
talking about it, and she was like, "My husband and I never considered
Yeah.
like our child wanting a sibling, like
Yeah.
at all."
yeah.
So he had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
He
was
got it
done.
reversed,
is getting-
and she like almost immediately got pregnant
This is
again.
getting
Really?
Yeah, they were like, it could be about 6 months, and she was like, "Okay, cool, I've got some time, and immediately.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. Like there's a reason why Christ says, "Go forth and multiply."
Well, yeah,
Just
that's
go
the
Have
commandment.
kids, man. Have
We got to
tons of
populate,
kids.
yeah, and
Because
and teach them my commandments.
When you become a parent, your life's no longer about yourself, dude. And that is the beautiful thing about it. Your life becomes about your children and growing the next generation. And
Yeah.
every decision that I make is for them. If there's still parents holding on to themselves, that's a problem. I don't want to have another kid because we can't find it. Like, that's a problem, dude. And you can wrap it all up in like, that's what Satan does. He'll try to wrap a good thing up with a bad thing and be like, I don't want to have another kid because I don't want to be financial and that's just not responsible, blah, 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 blah. But even the birds in the sky are fed.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? They don't worry about what
even the
they have.
squirrels find a house.
Just have kids, bro. More
Amen.
kids.
Okay,
Anyway, we have gone on
I
a lot
don't-
of rabbit trails.
well,
and
I was
that's
going to say my
fault.
daughter has an only child,
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
so
You need to have
should
a
we
sit
have
down.
So if you're
We've been
listening,
telling
if
her.
you're listening to this, I need some more grandchildren.
Let's get them on here.
Let's get them on here and flesh that out.
Let's flesh it
I
out.
have friends, and I even have siblings. Like, so I don't have children yet, but my hope is to have children.
The hope is there.
And I've been saying to people that already have kids, I'm like, hey, you guys should like try and have another baby so we can be pregnant at the same time.
Yeah,
See, that's natural.
Yeah.
exactly.
You want to go through that experience with
I told
somebody.
my sister that when I was visiting her recently, and I was like, are you sure you don't want another child? They have 2 boys. And she's like, I am sure I don't want to have another kid. And I was like, but what if we were pregnant together? Like, that could be fun. And she was like, no. I don't know.
I feel like if I was a girl, I'd be pregnant all the time. Just
I could
because
maybe convince her.
I'd always want to be pregnant with my friends if I was a girl.
It'd be fun.
Oh,
just go through it together. You
Yeah.
know, you got somebody to share in your struggles.
Mm-hmm.
My Aunt Evie, side note, down in Baldwin County, South Alabama.
All right.
That's a good
She had
town.
18 kids.
Did she really?
18.
She didn't know
You know
when
what?
to stop.
You know what this means? She was pregnant every day of her life. Think about it.
She was
She was always pregnant.
She was
and
like
here's
a
the thing:
milk cow.
these guys were farmers. So
Yeah.
my Uncle Jimmy, that was her husband,
Lots of free labor.
he would come in from the field. Guess
Mhm.
what Uncle Jimmy wants?
Sexy
Hard day's
time.
work.
A meal.
Hey,
and
let's.
a meal,
And that's the
some,
way it was. Yeah, a
some
meal
quality
and
time.
some meal. So anyway, Nex-ee-um. Keith Raniere was
He was just like that.
yeah, so he founded this group called Nex-ee-um. They were founded in 1998. He was a charismatic former multi-level marketing executive.
And
Yeah.
small,
So there you go.
Small, thin, wormy lips.
Right there. And Nancy Salzman was his partner. She was a nurse. She was a hypnotherapist. Okay, so it's already bad.
Yeah.
We got multi-level marketing and hypnotherapy. It's over.
You know how, like, that guy is just oozing used car salesman if he's
I'll guarantee
multi-level
you.
marketing
I
executive.
guarantee you,
Ugh.
he's on stage.
Yeah.
You're done. Listen, I've been to these. I've been to these
you
events.
look him up.
I've been to
he's
Tony
disgusting.
Robbins. I've
Have
been to
you
Tony.
really?
Yeah, I've been to his events. There's always tons of books, tables in the back with tons of material.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All it is a advertisement on stage with a bunch of people in a conference room.
Yeah.
And when I'm done advertising, go back and buy my book, my course
Yeah.
Mhm.
for $50,000,
Right.
and it's going to help you get rich. I've been to those. I've actually bought, because we're talking about, had a background in NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. I've bought that course from Tony Robbins. I've read his books.
Dude,
So
t-
it's-
he is
Ruh-roh.
On
he
the-
is all up in your brain.
On the
dude.
surface, it seems
I
look,
take
look,
back
if you don't
what I
have any,
said earlier about you having one kid for so long.
that's what happened.
This is why.
Neuro-linguistic programming is all about the way you speak and the words that you use when you talk. And you can basically, if I know how to do this, I can talk to you and get you to say, and I can get you to do things.
Yeah.
Because the words you're hearing makes you go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm following you, and I just lead you down this path.
Yeah, exactly.
And
A lot of those.
if I can get you to agree with certain things that I'm saying, you're gonna, yes, I agree to that. Next step. Oh, okay, yes, I agree to, and you just go down this path. That's what NLP is.
yeah.
So it was a self-improvement company that offered courses in leadership, emotional intelligence, and personal development. Wow,
Mhm.
that doesn't sound bad. All these cults start out with that doesn't sound bad. That sounds like something I'd sign up for. Who doesn't want personal development or emotional intelligence, right? Well, the organization branded itself as a modern, sophisticated method for unlocking human potential, claiming that its unique programs would empower individuals to live their best lives, both personally and professionally. Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds great,
Yeah.
right?
But we're here, so it's not.
So, right. Oh, look, see, this gives all the other courses a bad name, because at the heart, Nex-ee-um's offering this thing called Executive Success Programs, ESPs. And these seminars, like, you go to these seminars, you spend lots of money, and you're basically trying to improve your life. Like, and everybody thinks we're improving your life. I gotta make more money. Oh, I gotta make more money.
Yeah.
If I make this much, then I'm going to improve my life. I can do these things. I can do all these things with a bunch of money. That's what these courses are designed to do,
Yeah.
to teach you step by step the things you're doing wrong in your life because you're not where you want to be. So follow our advice.
And that's the thing that wraps this up so beautifully, is people will never be where they want to be.
No.
Ever.
No, you've got to have a solid relationship with Christ, and your identity, know who you are. before any of that other stuff.
And who he says you are.
Right.
Contentment.
It has to start there.
Contentment is one of the, because I have a bunch of buddies that are like very successful businessmen, killing it in today's standards.
Yeah.
You know, and they are one of the few, like the reasons why I respect these two gentlemen so much is because they are one of the few people that are successful in life, but they don't like, it's not about, because like, for instance, I work for a company.
Yeah.
And my company, we have, in every company I've worked for in plumbing, we have monthly meetings.
Okay.
And every, or sometimes monthly, sometimes depends on the company. But every meeting, we would sit down and we would talk about for 2 hours of how we can grow the business. Grow.
The company. Yeah.
Grow. And every single time, it was always about, we need more. We need more. How are we going to get this? We had this many people sign up. Boom.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, to what end, bro? Like, who's asking those questions?
That's a great point.
To what end? What's the point? There is no point for this just exponential growth. Greed. It's the love of money.
Yes.
So it's like these two guys, I love them to death because they are like the only people I've ever found that are successful that are not just, they're growth minded, but it's not. It's like to the ends of just more money. But we had a long discussion about that of just like Christians, like the whole meaning of the book of Genesis is it's an allegorical book, right? So the whole meaning of Genesis, like the way that the Easterners would write, it's like us here in the West, we write logically. Everything's like, I think I've told this on.
They speak in hyperbole.
Yes.
Hyperbole.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But I think I talked about this on, I can't remember what episode it was, but the whole meaning of Genesis, when Moses wrote it, was to emphasize the fact that God rested on the seventh day. Mm-hmm. It says that he believed his creation was good and he rested. And that was like the overarching theme of the creation story.
Right.
And us as throughout the entirety of Scripture and throughout all of humanity, all the problems we have is from people just not knowing when to chill the F out and just be content. It's like everyone's just trying to go.
Get, mine.
Yeah. And so groups like this will thrive because it's like it's playing on that
need to improve myself.
Yeah.
Because where I'm at
level.
is just I'm not good enough.
Yeah,
or I need to be
enough.
better.
You're trying to fulfill a part of you that can never be fulfilled.
You got to get to the next level. You got to do all that crap.
Anyway.
Well, the teachings in NXIVM drew upon a mix of pseudoscientific principles, including the elements of positive psychology, motivational theory, self-help language, and they would often employ like highbrow terminology and complex jargon to give the impression that like they were better intellectually than everybody else in the room. Oh, I need to follow this guy because I didn't think like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So the marketing strategy was effective, and soon they began attracting a wide range of followers, some individuals in search of self-betterment, while other professionals were looking for a competitive edge. Like you just said, we need to get more clients. We got to get more clients. How are we going to get more? So they would, and a lot of these were drawn into the fold were some Hollywood actors, business executives, high-profile individuals, including, and the reason I'm going to mention this name is because she was very well known in the media at the time that this cult was brought to its knees. Her name was Allison Mack.
Yeah.
You may know her from Smallville. And by the way, I've binged all 10 episodes of Smallville.
10 episodes?
I loved it. I'm sorry, 10 seasons.
You binged 10 seasons.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
Do you feel at some point that show was just like, bro, come on?
They were
just fly already.
They were
I never watched it.
Oh, you don't know why?
No, to explain me.
Okay, so the writers that wrote the show said, I never want to see him in tights or him fly. That was the whole premise of the show.
Are you serious?
They didn't want to tell that story. They wanted to tell the story that got him to that point of flying and putting on the tights.
So that's just not. It
So-
took Batman 10 years to figure out how to fly.
How do you?
Bro, that's stupid.
He's in high school. He doesn't know.
I never watched Smallville.
Anyway,
You didn't miss much. You really
Thought so.
didn't.
well, I will say this about Smallville.
Go on.
The
Hit us, man. Come on.
Lex Luthor arc was beautifully.
I agree with that.
The way
The drama there was
the
dope.
way because it was all about his father, Lionel Luthor. He was he was the villain. The way Lex moved into that, because he finally killed his dad,
Yeah.
threw him off a roof.
Yep.
And that right there, you could see that right there turned him into the Lex Luthor we knew in the comics. But watching him go to that arc, I thought it was good writing.
They did.
Anyway.
I agree with that.
So Nex-ee-um, where am I at here?
Well, hold on. You should also
Go.
reference the two that were basically the financial backing of this group, which were Claire and Sarah Bronfman.
Yes, they were heirs to the Sigmund Freud? No, Seagrams. That's the drink.
The liquor.
Yeah.
Gin. You would think of like a gin. It's kind of like a low to mid range kind of gin if you're a gin person.
Well, I thought Seagram was that, those guys that always do the commercials.
Which by the way, they
Bartles,
are
Bartles and James.
Their net worth, Seagram, I looked it up. It's like $2.2 billion
Today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
So they had some money behind them.
Yeah, they had some.
They had serious financial backing.
It was like the 106th most richest person in the world, something like that.
Which, honestly, okay, I just want to make a side comment that if I was the heir to a fortune such as that, I can promise you I would not be washing away people's legal troubles from a sex cult.
Maybe.
There's people where sometimes you see them and they do like crazy things like this, and you're like, of course they're heirs to this massive fortune.
Yeah.
You're just like, why is it always people that do like the weirdest things? Well, it's because of the love of money, but I mean, who knows how those two even grew up? Just
right. What's their
what
background?
even got them going on this whole thing? But they covered every single bit of legal fees. They covered everything. To just
and they always backed Keith.
This is what made
like
it.
He wasn't the problem.
And they say that this is part of the problem, like why it took so long for there to be any sort of like legal action against this group, is because they had a lot of money to make things go away.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they just kept people, not only from like the collateral that we'll talk about, I'm sure. But also it was like they just had money to just.
It's kind of weird because it's
quiet.
like, what did those women have out of this cult?
Are you talking about any of the women or just the Seagram girls?
Why was Allison Mack doing that?
Daddy issues.
Well, seriously though, because it's like he was the grandmaster, so he was just banging it away like a drum. He was a little drummer boying, and
he's so gross too. Okay, why is it always the cult leaders are so hideous?
Yeah.
They're just disgusting.
I mean, would it have made it any better if he was an attractive guy? It's like,
well, but you can at least look at it and be like, well, I mean, I
can understand the attraction here.
Yeah, I can see the draw.
Yeah, like Ted Bundy was a good-looking guy. I could see that.
Listen, my wife has said this for years, and this will answer your question.
Okay.
There's something about a man on stage that gives him a sense of authority and a sense of power and a sense of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what they look like.
It's the confidence.
Dude,
there's something about a man on stage that is drawing the attention, and it's there. Look at Mick Jagger. That dude's probably ugly as sin.
Weirdest looking dude I've ever
but
seen.
Females are attracted to him.
I need to get on a stage.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I sing. I've been singing in church for years.
Dude, when you're up there singing,
I'm on stage. Susan has had to bat some women down.
I believe it.
That have made some comments.
I believe it
about me.
Just like, dang, that dude right there.
Like when
the
chick,
fans hit that hair just at the right angle.
This one chick said, "One day I'm going to marry that guy."
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, she didn't know that she was sitting by my wife, and she was like, "That's my husband. What are you doing?" So, I mean, I'm not that attractive.
No chance, bro. No chance.
I mean, if I were to give you like an out of 10 score,
okay,
it'd be 10.
Joey, you're the sexy weirdo on the mic here. I'd
talking?
go with that one. You got the sexy look.
Nah, dude.
You got the dark Italian going. What are we?
What are we going? Are we building each other up right now? Is that what's happening?
All right.
Does anybody want to move?
Let's move on.
Okay, listen. I've
Thank you.
I've talked about the organization, what they do. He background of multi-level marketing. When did this go south?
Well, you had us at the multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that background. He's holding conferences. People are buying courses. When does it go south as to the actual sex cult type? Or when did that happen?
When did it happen?
I don't know.
I think that's always been part of the plan.
Well, I think so. And then so the documentary, and I'll play some audio in a minute.
I also watched a documentary too.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
So when did it actually the sex part start? It wasn't at the
Much
beginning,
later.
right?
No.
So he gathered all these women.
Yeah.
And then so what did he do? There was a back room. Hey, lay on this couch here for a second. What happened?
No. You didn't learn this in the documentary you watched?
Yes, I did, but I want somebody else to talk about it.
He would exploit them somehow, but I don't know what was the deciding.
They were tasked by their masters, or what they were called, like basically like their recruiters or their group leaders.
Which was Allison
I would say
Mack
group leader, but
Allison Mack. Okay.
I don't know. You're talking like master-slave relationship, and I don't know, and people are still staying and going, yeah, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I want to be someone's slave.
Let's say that, well, since you said that, he did an offshoot. He did an offshoot of Nex-ee-um.
Yes.
It was called DOS,
yeah,
which stands for Dominus Obscurius Sorium, which translates to
obsequious.
Obsequious. Thank you, Meryl. You should be on here all the time just correcting us, which we have problems.
We'll just have her call in.
Yeah, just call in and
Just chime in.
we'll stay with DOS. That's why they called it DOS, which
Yes.
this translates to Lord Master over the obedient female companion.
Yeah.
So if somebody knew that, why, especially being female, wouldn't you back out of this? Because I don't want to be an obedient female companion unless you do.
I think it had to do with like, if you can pinpoint like who is like super dedicated, who's throwing money at like wanting to take more courses, people who are just like really wanting to get the approval of the higher ups of this organization, then you sort of like identify those people as like, ooh, we'll bring you into the exclusive,
the inner circle.
Secret
Now,
group.
this was a multi-level marketing scheme, correct?
Yes.
Were they getting paid for this?
No.
It was just free.
Yeah. They were paying. They were paying for.
How the heck, dude? Because I think about like the, like all those like young living essential oil sales girls.
Yeah.
Lord.
It's like all
The
these
LuLaRoe leggings that
They're
had
like-
a
they're
grip
like-
on suburban moms.
and they're always on like Instagram, like my business, like I'm talking about business.
Oh,
and
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, it ain't your business, bro. You're in a pyramid scheme. Settle down.
Yes.
But it wasn't like that. They're
See,
not getting paid.
Well, I'll tell you the difference between that
Yeah,
and,
I
and
didn't
something
find
like
anything about
a
them
pyramid
getting paid.
scheme is when if I recruited you, Joey, into my little multi-level marketing and I got paid just because I recruited you, but I sold no product, that's the scheme. That's the illegal part. If I have if you're selling a product, like Essential Oils has a product that people can buy and people get commission on, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
This is the issue though.
But they're
He
probably recruiting people. Somebody's getting paid for that recruitment, but there's no product being bought. That's what makes it,
well, the
a pyramid
the
scheme.
product that's being bought is like the self-help courses.
Right.
But
But if I don't make any money,
the point,
and that's probably how they do it legally, is go, oh, I didn't pay you just because you recruited Joey. He actually bought a package of the courses that's going to make his life better and how to plumb.
The point of that whole structure, though, was just for his own sexual gratification. That was literally the whole point of recruiting people. It was under the guise of you'll be like enlightened to a degree or whatever. I don't even know what they were even working toward. Like that was
The
something
females?
the documentary that I was watching was called Seduced.
I'll put both of the documentaries that were that I've watched.
Yeah, it was from Stars.
Seduced. I watched one that was called Inside Nex-ee-um.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like the whole time that I was watching it, I was like, what's the end game? Like once you reach a certain level in this, or whatever. It's like, what is in it for the women who like
have
excel,
sex.
who make it up toward the top, or whatever, who they themselves become masters, like
Allison Mack.
What's in it for them?
I guess power, prestige.
I don't think anything was. I think they got to the inner circle and they were manipulated, blackmailed. Yes. You guys have that?
Yes, you did have to. It was like if you were, that was like the cost of admission into this. Is like you had to provide collateral, which was basically just there.
Yeah, I'll read it. It says before being allowed to join DOS, prospective members were required to provide what was called collateral, in quotations.
Collateral.
This collateral was typically compromising or highly personal information, such as nude photographs, illicit videos, or damaging secret about their lives or family members or professional
representation.
Reputations.
Good Reputations. Lord. I knew the word. I just couldn't say it.
The brain.
The collateral was presented as a way to ensure loyalty and trust within the group. Members were told that it was a necessary step to demonstrate their commitment and to prevent them from ever betraying DOS or revealing its existence to outsiders.
It was also.
Keith's back there having sex with all these girls.
They were also told that like the collateral was a way to face. To like overcome and face like real like difficult things that were holding you back in your life.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's like, if I share this thing about myself and somebody else knows about it, that is me like kind of taking my power back.
The power's not there. You can't control me.
But then also it's like, we will use this against you.
Yeah.
Which is like, what?
So he was getting just videos of all these girls doing crazy stuff.
So they were all and that's the thing is like, these were all being sent to him.
But what
for his pleasure? That was it.
That's messed
up. So
dude.
were they making the videos like somewhere else with their boyfriends or just out in the back alley doing crazy stuff and then sending it to Keith?
Yeah. They would send it to their master who would then forward it on to him, basically, so he'd get his rocks off. Wow.
Okay, so then did Keith at some point go, hey, call that girl in here. I want to talk to her a minute.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that was the whole...
Lay down on the couch, I want to talk to you.
That was the whole seduction exercise that they had to do. Every master in this group had slaves under them, and if at some point, basically, whenever Raniere would say so, would be like, okay, you have to seduce him. And it's... You
have to seduce Keith.
Yeah, and it was just like you have to find an opportunity to have one-on-one time with him, and then he will tell you to do something, or I don't know, because one of the people, Catherine Oxenberg, was one of the girls that left the group or whatever, but she was in there she was in deep. But one of the things that like he had just told her, like they went on a walk together or whatever, and that was no big deal. But
sure.
And she was like, basically, he just asked me to sit on a bed so he could take a picture of me naked. That was her assignment.
Okay.
And it was basically like this was her way to seduce him. He didn't. I misspoke. He did not tell her to. Her master, Allison, told her like, this is your assignment. Get him to take a picture of you naked. And then so it was like, when you find the opportunity, that is what you need to do. That's your seduction thing. And so she was like, okay, so I just told him, like, take a picture of me naked, and I took off my clothes, sat on a bed, he took a photo of her, and that was it.
Super difficult to do, I'm sure.
And at that point, it's like, no alarm bells were going off in her head.
I'm
it was
naked,
just,
photo me. He's like, okay.
There was enough alarm bells that when she became, like, had, like, a master status and she had 3 slaves under her.
Well, that's the goal.
And it was like, in the time that she was there, she never assigned them a seduction assignment. And which was like, she was getting in trouble for that because she was told like multiple times, like, you need to be assigning this. You need to like, they're running all over you. You're actually not being a good master because your slaves are like not letting you run this process or whatever. But she felt weird about it, about like assigning other people to like do this.
Yeah.
But she herself didn't see an alarm bell going off where it was like, yeah, I can do it. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, it's almost like they stay in there along with the blackmail, but there's always this empowerment thing that they think they're going to achieve at some point.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh, one day I want some slaves under me.
I think the biggest...
I better do the thing that they want me to do.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from this, at least for me, was like the mind is a very scarily vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
To just take advantage of.
I'd agree with that.
It's just so, like, I was just like, I cannot. It's just, this is why cults are so fascinating, because you're like, normal, ordinary people. And you're like, what the heck? How did you get into that?
Yeah, at what point was your brain like?
We've made that statement here, like, we could have definitely fallen for one of these cults.
Yeah, Jonestown, bro.
Yeah.
You would have been in it.
Yeah.
You would have been all
I mean, what's wrong with laying on hands?
You would have been all up in it, dude. I would have been up in it, dude. That video I sent you.
Yeah, dude. They were having fun.
Dude.
Until they weren't. Well, for nearly 2 decades, Nex-ee-um operated largely under the radar, presenting itself as a legitimate self-help and personal development. So that's how they were able to do it. There was no flags.
It's a good way to frame it, too, with like executive success.
Right, executive success. We're helping people.
And the lower end people, you know what? They probably had no idea what was going on. Much like the Freemasons.
Just like Scientology.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Masons. We had a couple of comments. One was the Mason, too. It's like, y'all guys know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's why I told you about the time I was in a VR chat with them, and they were like, no, we don't renounce God.
We don't do anything like that.
I mean, we do like a ceremony in front of like in front of an altar.
With a guy with a robe. But
yeah, but we're not.
I mean, we're in a
Satanists.
fire circle, but
yeah. I mean, I like cut blood and like slit my own wrist in front of and drop blood into a dish.
But I didn't say anything about Satan.
I never said that I was
Jesus.
Antichrist. You're like, dude, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing? We're just out back doing masonry.
Yeah,
I built a wall.
That's all I was doing. Just using tools.
It's freaking wild.
Okay, so there were thousands of participants who were drawn by the power of empowerment and, I'm getting personal growth. However, beneath its outward appearance, far darker reality was unfolding.
Yes.
Specifically with the inner circle, which was DOS. For years, they remained unaware of the abuses, which were members. They didn't know about it. Manipulations taking place at the highest levels. But in 2017, that all changed when several brave former members of Nex-ee-um and DOS came forward with damning accounts of coercion, exploitation, and abuse. These whistleblowers' testimonies, combined with leaked evidence, exposed the true nature of Nex-ee-um, leading to a massive investigation of law enforcement agencies. Now, before I get into the whistleblowers, I'm going to play a clip real quick because I don't know if we get into the notes here about the branding.
Oh, I also misspoke. Catherine Oxenberg is India's mom. I was speaking about India Oxenberg, who was like really in the thick of the cult. I'm just seeing the names. I was like, I forgot. It was India.
India Oxenberg.
Yeah.
Ollie Oxenfree. I'm going to play a clip. Allison Mack.
Fact check you guys. What's up?
I fact check myself.
That's what I'm saying. Allison Mack would go on walks with Keith. And for whatever reason, she recorded on her phone. You can tell it's on her phone because it's in her pocket. Because you can hear the scrubbing of the audio.
Oh, fun.
But she recorded Keith, and this is like evidence. Again, now, I don't know why Allison, maybe at the end, she thought, I need to record to protect myself. I don't know why, because I thought she was deeply involved with one of the slave masters. Why would she do this against her master? This is kind of, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she thought, I need some proof because I don't know if this is going to go bad. I need something to protect myself.
Maybe she thought that she just didn't want the blowback to come all on her.
Yeah. But definitely, I don't think Keith knew that he was being recorded because he actually was telling her about how to brand girls. Now, the branding would be, well, I'll let you, we'll talk about it after. This is Keith Raniere being recorded by Allison Mack.
Tattoo as a symbol of, being part of this. And so it all sounds very inconsequential, very harmless.
The women were told it was like a little tattoo, but Keith Raniere was branding them like cattle. This is at Keith Raniere's direct order. Keith Raniere is on tape telling Allison Mack how he wants this done.
January 9th, 6:59 a.m., talking about branding on the wall.
I think doing the actual brand in an orderly fashion, having a certain ritualization. The person who's being branded should be completely nude and sort of held to the table like a sort of almost like a sacrifice. I don't know if that's a feeling of submission, you know? Legs spread straight, like feet being held to the side of the table, hands probably above the head being held, almost like tied down, like a sacrificial whatever. And the person should ask to be branded.
Okay.
Should say, please brand me, it would be an honor, or something like that. And an honor I want to wear for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Okay.
And they should probably say that before they're held down, so it doesn't seem like they're being coerced.
Okay.
If they quit, then not only would they lose everything, they would have no support system. They're very deep into this group. There's a ton of stuff they have on you. They have your money, they have your images. If you don't agree with it, all of that's gonna get out.
Could also, of course, videoing it from different angles or whatever gives collateral.
They're almost always on the hips, usually very close to the pubic area, right on the hip bone. Painful place to get tattoos, super painful place to be branded.
The women were told it was like the symbols of nature and wind, but they are branding the initials KR. He is marking these women with his initials.
Yeah, so I looked at the brand on the hips, and if you turn it sideways, it is KR.
Yeah.
So he's branding the girls with his initials, Keith Raniere, near the pubic bone. So that was,
and it's not even like a branding like you think of with cattle, where it's like a stamp. They were using a cauterizing pen,
right? Which I think they do branding in sorority houses, right? See that omega symbol on dudes' arms? That's a brand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was different because it was they were using I'm cutting this. Yeah. I think a brand would have been easier, but this was
a brand would have been easier and faster.
Yeah, just get it over with.
And they were only supposed to be the size of a quarter, and they were like double, like they were larger than that also.
Yeah.
Because the person was probably squirming in pain.
Yeah, and that's why he was instructing Allison to hold him down.
Sick.
Make sure you hold the girls down.
Dude, you could just tell from that.
Get their verbal consent. They must ask for it. I was just,
Yeah, it makes your blood boil because that's just
make sure it doesn't look like we're coercing them.
He was getting off on that.
Oh, yeah. And then get different angles.
Yeah.
With the video so we can get collateral. So that, and Allison, did you hear Allison?
Yeah, he says it's for collateral, but that was for his own little spank bank later.
Yes. No, that's exactly what that was for.
So
that's all this ever was.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen Criminal Minds, bro. That's what they do. They revisit it. They have videos and evidence because that's what happens in the shows. Like, why would he have that? Why would he keep trophies? Because he rocks off to him.
He can't help it.
Yeah. He has to relive those memories, dude. That's nasty, boy. That's nasty.
Yeah, some of the stuff that in the documentary that I was watching, some of the things that he was saying, like, because they had footage of like his talks and stuff. Unbelievable. Like, one of the things that he said, this is going to just, if you thought your blood was boiled, it's going to get over the top now.
Let's go.
Because he said at one point, this is what stuck out the most in my mind, where I was like, oh my gosh. He was talking about the rape of babies and how he was like, it should be viewed basically no different than sticking a knife into a steak. No big deal. Like, he was trying to normalize that. Yes. In these like private talks that he was having with people.
Okay.
But it was like small groups of people, but he's just talking about this. I don't know how you could sit through that and go.
Of babies?
Babies.
I would have lost it.
He was trying to normalize, like there were several different occasions where he was talking about sexually abusing children and how that should be normal. And it was just foul. It was so disgusting.
Wow. Let's legalize freaking when pedophiles get murdered
Castration.
by dads. Let's legalize that.
Yeah.
A dad should be able to murder a pedophile. That that touched their kid, molested their kid.
Why can't that be part of the sentence?
That should be it.
Because he was, and he was referring to babies as just, what did he say? It was something like they're just like a pile of flesh, like a pile of meat. And I was like, I
can't even understand.
That sounds like what the abortioners say.
Yeah, they just
It's just
normalize it.
Body of cells.
I can't believe somebody wouldn't have lost it in that meeting.
Yeah, and he was just chatting like he was having just a normal convo.
Well,
with
even
people.
Allison Mack was like, okay.
Yeah, did you hear? She was like, yeah. Okay.
Well, in India Oxenberg, it was wild that she said that even after like the branding and stuff, she was like, I still held Nex-ee-um like in a positive light. I still felt like they were doing like good stuff, and I was like, what?
So she's out, right?
Yes.
So
she's out now.
But did she talk about like, did she feel I was trapped or I had this? Why did I stay?
Yeah, she had like a lot of regret over that.
So these people are completely not high on anything.
No.
Right. So there's no Charlie Manson LSD.
Totally sober.
There's no drugs. This is just all.
I just want to improve my life.
That's
and be a better. I want to be a better success.
This is all taking like vulnerable women, and I mean there were some men in the organization, but like obviously these kinds of things get dominated by women because.
Why do you think this is kind of a deeper question? You might not know it.
We'll try to answer it.
Why do you think women specifically fall into that, like wanting to be like controlled? Why do you think that? Why do you think women like?
That's a good question.
It seems like women fall into this where it's like they want to have someone over them so bad, and it can be manipulated like this. Why do you think that is?
And they just stay with it.
I think that part of it has to do with the larger, overarching thing that's happened here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That is the destruction of the nuclear family.
Mm-hmm.
You get dad out of the home, then that's what what kids seek out all the time.
They want that.
They need a father figure. They need that, and it's like, and if you feel like that is missing, then
you feel like is some guy that is like Keith is giving that. You're like,
yeah,
oh, this is what I was missing. So obviously this is normal.
Yeah, there's a ton of studies and a lot of science that back that like your relationship with the same sex parent as the child is like really, really important, but the opposite sex parent is like really traumatic if they're not around, because it's like then you have the one parent that's trying to do both roles, and
they're not equipped.
And I'm not saying single moms have done a bad job or anything, because they just
They've
have
been
to
put
do
in
what
a
they have
bad
to
situation.
do. Yeah, a lot of times they're just put in bad spots, but it's like that's just that's a huge result. I mean, you see so many. There was a lot of those people were like having. I think about like the Manson family or whatever. A lot of those kids came from like normal middle class families, but they, at some point down the road, were taught that like whatever it is that they were believing in is not there. Well, then you move forward to this group, and it's like you look at what's happened in the 60s up until when this group started going, right? And you look at the amount of divorce rising. You look at the amount of like single parents through the roof. Like it's interesting to, I mean, it's not surprising.
What's the divorce rate at? Like 60, 70% now?
Wow.
80%? Yeah, it's high.
I heard in the church is 50.
50?
I think it's higher than that.
Well,
I think it's like
higher than
50 in the 50s for the church.
It's super high. I mean, even not in churches.
I think that's a good answer, Meryl. They're looking for that, and I can't speak to every female that was, you coerced that didn't have a father or did have a father, but that's an interesting question.
The divorce rate nationwide is around 42%.
Oh, okay.
Why would somebody, get into that situation and want to be controlled or want to put themselves in a submission state?
Yeah.
As a slave.
I think it just seems like the men have not really. I mean, it ultimately falls on the men, right? Like it's on us.
And I think ultimately too is like if you think about if you're used to like toxicity or chaos, then like this isn't far from it, you know?
Yeah.
If you especially if you're a young gal who grew up in an abusive situation.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
but it just falls like I know we did a War on the Family episode, and I think we talked a little bit about like masculinity. And there's this book I read. It was called The Healing of the Masculine Soul, and he goes into, it's really an incredible book, but just the weight of like being a masculine male. It's been, it's so frowned upon in society, but it's like you read things like this where like subconsciously women get caught up in this because it's like I know that we're probably going to get a lot of flack because there's such a feminist movement now, but it's like women crave a strong male, and society has made males weak.
We do. And you can, if you're a woman listening to this and getting mad at what Joey is saying, then maybe I would suggest you take several seats and a couple deep breaths.
Yeah.
And actually like really think about it because it's true.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, if you look about like what women want, they want a man who makes over $100,000. They want a man who's in shape. And it's like, what are all those aspects of? It's aspects of a man who can take care of them.
Safety, security.
Yeah, safety, security.
Provision.
You want to know that your guy can protect you, can provide for you, can do all these things. And societally, that has been unfolded all the way since like C.S. Lewis wrote about it in The Abolition of Man. Is like we've been pushing men to feel like this masculinity that we have is wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like something's wrong with it.
Yeah, something's wrong with
toxic.
me. And then it just grew into this like, and I would argue to say like a lot of men that leave families, I would almost say it's a lot of it because of it's their own fear of not being able to be a man for their kids, not being able
live up to that.
Well, and a lack of not knowing because they don't have a dad in the home to have shown them.
That too. And then again, it goes back to my other point. It's like, I can't be a father. I don't know how to be a father. And they run. Yeah. And it's that fear. And then it seems like it's just been this snowball effect. And then there's just this huge gap of just women needing someone in their life to help them.
Fill that gap.
Yeah. And, people are like, I don't need no man in my life. I'm like, yeah, but
I used to be one of those.
Statistically.
By golly.
Was
I wrong?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that, like you said, it's like there's single moms out there, and there's single moms out there that raise their kids and they do it right. And there's, I'm talking overarching themes here.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about any specific nothing. I'm just talking overarching themes. There is like a societal thing where the masculinity has been attacked for the last almost 100 years. It's leaving men weak. It's leaving men like feeling unequipped, and we're running. We're running from our problems. We're running from being a dad. We're running from women. So it does fall on us. Boys are growing up not knowing how to be men because they're men. They're not. In the book, Healing the Masculine Soul, it talks about how like villages in Africa, they have a coming to man ceremony when they turn 16, where the people of the village will go, all the men of the group will go out in the woods. And it sounds really weird when I say it, but they'll go out into the woods and they'll yell like to the guy's name, like we'll say his name's Zeke or something, I don't know. Yeah. They'll be like, Zeke, 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 like chanting out in the woods. Yeah. And they'll like be chanting, being like, come, it's time to be a man, it's time to be a man, it's time to be a man. And the mother has to like basically give up her child, because once she gives up her child in the villages, he's off in the woods. He's moving out of the parents' house, He's
getting into his new role.
And it's like this big moment where it's like, I'm no longer a boy. I'm a man, and it's time to do man things. It's time to go out, provide, hunt, do all these things. We don't have that, dude. We don't have that. So it's like men are never growing out of their children. Like me personally, I didn't grow out of my child way of thinking until I was like married for 5 years. And it was rough, dude. I didn't really mature until I was 25 because it was like I never had that moment of like, it's not about me anymore. Like, I'm married. It's us. It's us. It was always like me. And I was like, it took me years to be like, dude, this marriage is not working out. And it didn't work out until I realized, like, it's bigger than myself, dude. And that's what it is to be a man, is to be selfless, to love your family. And anyway, this is so off topic.
No, it's good.
I don't think so.
No, this, yeah.
But it's
a podcast.
I see things like this, and it just breaks my heart because it's.
I mean, this could be what you're talking about. Could go on both sides, Keith and the women.
Yeah, because he didn't know how to be a man. Exactly.
Keith definitely. Why am I treating women this way?
Well,
the women are like, well, I'm trying to fill a void, and they both got into this hard situation that shouldn't have been done.
Right.
It breaks my heart because it's like I think of the scripture where Jesus is preaching to the multitudes, and it says that he was like deeply moved because he's like, these people are lost and they don't have a shepherd. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just what I see when I see these cults, and really society. It's like these people are just lost. Without a shepherd. You know, it just blows my mind.
They need Jesus.
Somehow Jesus isn't it.
Yeah.
Which is what's shocking to me, is like, no, I'm going to go this route. And I just think that's what's always been so interesting to me. Of course, you know, in the Bible it says like, yeah, everyone's going to hate you because of me, because they all hated me.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But like, I find it so fascinating. You know, there's the joke that goes around. It's like the meme where people are like, I got to the gates of heaven and people are laughing at me because I'm trying to bring my crystals or whatever. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny, the lengths, not funny, haha, but like ironic and strange that people go to like some crazy lengths to do anything and everything but have an encounter with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're also in something that's very common in these cults is there's no real accountability for anything.
Yeah.
Right. There's none.
I mean, no matter what position you're in, you're not really held accountable or to a standard.
Just wide open.
Just freaking, yeah.
Yeah. I just see a group of women that were just wanting to feel anything, you know, just so dead to themselves that being a part of something made them feel important. And it's just sad, dude.
Yeah.
I pray to God that my daughter feels loved by me and fulfilled to the point where she knows the love of a father and knows the right love of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whoever that is that's going to marry my daughter someday, dude, like, he's going to be put through a lot, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you take
so much time. Take the torch.
Yeah. You take so much time as a father. Like I know you did with your daughters, you know.
Still.
Yeah. It never ends, bro. You know, and it's so beautiful and so powerful. But it just makes me feel so upset for people that didn't have that because of the way that society is. So it's like, these women here that fell into this, it's like, it's not their fault. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of like what I asked with the, you know, whose fault is that, dude? Like, I don't know. It's just, anyway, it's just sad.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some justice for the victims. In June 2019, after weeks of harrowing testimony and overwhelming evidence, Keith Raniere was found guilty on all charges. What did they charge him with? Sex trafficking, forced labor, wire fraud, racketeering. Wow. So the guilty verdict was seen as a major...
conspiracy to commit forced labor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said that.
Oh, okay.
Forced labor. The guilty verdict was seen as a major victory for the victims who endured years of manipulation and abuse under his control. October 2020. So that was just a couple of years ago, 4 years ago. Raniere was sentenced to 120 years in federal prison, ensuring that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. I wonder how he's doing.
He was also fined $1.75 million.
How's he going to pay that in prison? Oh, I guess from his company.
Yeah.
They're gonna break it up and
they just liquidate it,
The judge, in handing down the sentence, made it clear that Raniere's action had caused untold harm to countless individuals, and his abuse of power was both cruel and calculated. There are some other key figures in NXIVM, like we've mentioned, that were held accountable, just like, you know, we told, Manson. He was accountable for the crimes because he was a co-conspirator. Allison Mack, who had cooperated with prosecutors in exchange for reduced sentence, sentence. She was sentenced 3 years in prison. So she's probably out by now. If that was 2020. Because she was involved in recruiting women to this DOS. Claire Bronfman, help me.
Brofman?
Thank you. That's the Seagrams, right?
Yep.
She used her vast wealth to protect and fund it, which you mentioned, like she shielded this group from legal stuff. So she was sentenced to over 6 years in prison. Nancy Salzman, the one that was there at the beginning, was his right-hand woman. Yeah. She was the co-founder. She received a prison sentence of 3.5 years, while her daughter, Lauren Salzman, who testified against Raniere during the trial, also faced sentencing for her involvement in the group.
Wow.
Slaps on the hands, in my opinion.
I think so, like some of the women.
I think part of the broader conversation, though, in terms of the justice system, was like, this didn't catch the feds' attention until they heard about the branding. And it was like...
and that was all the other stuff's okay, the coercion and the manipulation.
Well, and part of the issue is like these people are all consenting adults, like, and they're participating in it. And there's a lack of like, what did she say in the documentary? It's like there's a lack of like coercion law. And she was saying like there's more laws to protect people that join cults in Europe than there are here in the United States. And
really?
Yes, because it has to do with like coercion, and we just don't have that sort of thing. But because
I think America's too nice.
India's mother, Catherine, like had tried to go to, she was like a Hollywood gal, so she knew people. She went to judges, she went to lawyers, she visited people in the Albany FBI field office, talked to as many people as she could. They were basically just like, oh, is she over 18? And she's like, yeah. And they were basically like, well, sorry about it.
Yeah. It's
but
almost like
should have rated her right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like this poor girl, her daughter was telling her mom, like, I haven't had a period in over a year, because he was one of the things that he wanted them to do was to like go on these extreme diets. Like he wanted her to be 106 pounds. And so she had to just like quit eating as much and all this stuff. And just like, she was that malnourished that she didn't even have a period for that long.
Wow.
And so it went a lot. It was just, I mean, it was much further than just like the mind control stuff too. It was that would probably be like the forced labor and things like that they were talking about. But yeah, it was
crazy stuff, man.
Raise your children right.
For real.
Men, stay in the home. We need you.
That's going to conclude our cult series. We're wrapping it up with NXIVM. Hope you've enjoyed the cult series. We'll get back to other weird topics in the future. But it won't be cultish. Well, maybe it will. I mean,
we're going to swing back around at some point, bro. Come on.
What was the documentary that you watched?
It was called Seduced.
Seduced. I'm going to put that in the show descriptions. Also, the documentary is on Tubi, Branded and Brainwashed Inside Nex-ee-um. That is the documentary I watched as well. So if you want to get
Seduced Inside the Nex-ee-um Cult.
Yeah, if you want to get more in depth than we did, watch those because they produce things a lot better than I can.
Yeah.
We're just on here talking about weird stuff. Don't forget the question of the week. What was the year the Illuminati was established? 220 BC, 1776, 1856, or 1945? Go and vote for that question. Make sure you visit our website, bottomofthat.com, for all our blog and all of our show notes and resource material. From there, you can also find us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and also TikTok. If you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, and MidShoot, and you like this episode, do me a favor, share, like, subscribe, and comment. That's going to tell the algorithm to share this content up with other people that like this kind of content. If you're listening on any other podcasting platform, make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss when we publish an episode. If you did not like this episode, I appreciate you listening this long. Tune in next week. You might hear Joey say,
hey, chances are Milwaukee made a tool for it, baby.
Probably. And where's Jason?
I don't know.